Welcome back to a new Dying Light 2 video. So what is the point of this video right now? Obviously, as the title says, to highlight some concerns right now. Now, we've presented concerns about actual gameplay and actual mechanics in the game. This is not going to be that video. This video is solely going to be about performance on PC, different PCs, different types of consoles, different reasons the game could have been delayed a little while back, and what my thoughts are right now about different versions of the game and how it will perform. As of recently, we got the spec requirements on PC, so I'm going to sum up the spec requirements quick right now. Basically high textured and 60 FPS, 2060 Super, and a 3600X. And what makes me so concerned about this? Well, this is on the upper end of requirements, but the question becomes, what does this mean for console? And right now, I'm really skeptical. It's all I'm thinking about Dying Light 2 right now. Really deeply thinking, how is this game going to perform on PS4 and Xbox One? Because I'm going to make some Cyberpunk comparisons. No need to leave the video if you don't like Cyberpunk or whatever, you don't like the comparisons. Grow up and listen to some thought here. And again, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because we have no last-gen gameplay. It's been about a month since the community manager said, okay, we promised you last-gen gameplay, we're going to be delivering that soon. So it comes down to, we're under 50 days from release. I don't understand what the need for waiting would be, besides possible struggles happening behind the scenes. So how do I compare this game to Cyberpunk? Well, first of all, the no last-gen gameplay is a good way to start, but also just the performance in general on PC. I have a 2060 Super and a Ryzen 3600. When I ran Cyberpunk at release, I was hitting about 80 to 90 FPS and dipping down to about 50 to 60 at the lowest end. That was mainly because the performance of the game actually dwindled as your session time went up, at least for me. And my overall experience on PC was very minimal bugs. I fell through the map a couple times. I would say the AI is trash. I don't count that as bugs though. When I think of Cyberpunk bugs, I think of PS4, the game freezing up every 20 seconds, character models not even loading in, people turning invisible, people appearing out of nowhere. I simply did not see much of any of that on PC. The only thing I could say is that there was, the one little building you can drive through. Everyone's seeing that now. And how does this relate to Dying Light 2? Well, it's very similar from what we've seen. The proposed requirements on PC would say that my system would probably run Dying Light 2 at about 60 FPS on the minimum, just from the paper facts they've released. Maybe it'll run a little bit higher than that, but I can't see it exceeding 90 FPS at most. So very similar performance to Cyberpunk on PC. Now with Dying Light 2, we have creators that played the game at events, on PC of course, but also on a PlayStation 4 Pro. We don't have any gameplay from the PlayStation 4 Pro, but we do have PC gameplay, which most likely, if we had to guess, was probably on a system with a 20 series card, maybe a 30 series. I would guess somewhere around a 2080. One thing very important to mention, creator gameplay we have seen of Dying Light 2 was supposedly not supposed to contain any bugs in the game, meaning creators would have to cut that gameplay out and not show it, which is a little dumb and frustrating, but either way we got the feedback from the creators, and the overall consensus was that there were a decent amount of bugs in the game, nothing hugely game breaking, but there were definitely bugs there. Sounds very similar to my Cyberpunk experience. If we shift over to the PlayStation Pro that was there, which was only running on a small subdivision of the map and was not running on the more intense part of the map, Central Loop, it was actually running on the old Villador map, a less intense area. And the creator feedback from the PS4 Pro basically said it was a solid 30 FPS and it looked fine for console. Didn't really notice anything out of the ordinary. And it's important to mention the feedback from the creators I've seen have said basically they did not spend much time on the PS4 Pro version, but that they did have some experience with it and that it seemed fine. Overall, that's a really good sign and probably tells us this is not going to be a full-on Cyberpunk. Could Dying Light 2 meet it halfway? I think that's possible. The fact that this game has no loading screens besides the one subdivision loading screen from Old Villador to Central Loop, other than that, no loading screens in the open world, it's going to be very demanding, especially on last gen. So that's why I'm really concerned about this game on last gen. Just the loading screens, all of the graphics, the skyscrapers, the different buildings. I mean, even from the Japanese PC gameplay we saw, it seemed like a lot of textures in the distance were low quality, unfinished, and having some problems there. It really makes you wonder, why was this game actually delayed a couple months back? They don't get into the specifics, but one would possibly speculate they're having some trouble with last-gen optimization. If you're paying attention, you start to see these things intertwine. I mean, the fact that the game was delayed, the fact that we still have not gotten last-gen gameplay, and the overall ambition of this game resulting in higher spec requirements on PC. If you look where we're at right now, the game has gone gold, and no one's really expecting a delay at this point. It's pretty much well known that the game is going to come out February 4th, and no more delays will happen. If there was another delay, I would be incredibly concerned for this game. Just for the fact that it has already gone gold, I would be extremely concerned, and I would advise anybody on last gen to cancel pre-orders in my opinion. At least until we have seen last gen gameplay. That is purely my opinion. That is what I would do. A lot of this is going to come down to if they actually have been developing this game for last gen all these years. If so, I don't think there will be too many problems. There's definitely going to be trade-offs, but there is the chance that last gen does not perform well. The red flags are there, and I'm simply not going to ignore them until we see some form of last gen gameplay where we can actually see what's happening behind the scenes in this game. Another possibility, if it actually is in a Cyberpunk state on last gen right now, I don't think they would completely cancel it for last gen because there's so many players on there that are going to buy it, and the player base on the next gen consoles are just not there yet because of shortages. So I simply see more delays in the future if there are problems on last gen. Now that is just going off of the chance that it is in a Cyberpunk state. This is stuff everyone needs to be paying attention to, especially people on last gen right now. Watch out for the last gen gameplay. If we have not seen the last gen gameplay by the release, expect worse performance on last gen consoles and be cautious in pre-ordering. It's gonna be it. Thank you guys for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.